make some rockets.
No, no, we're
SpaceX.
gonna do this live. So yeah, hello everyone, hello. You gonna say hello?
Hello.
Yes, hello. So yeah, we're gonna do this weird thing because it's a live stream and it's much better if I have some random person to talk to because bounce ideas off. So we have Fraser Cain from Universe Today
Hello.
because we have a lot of fun things to talk about, isn't there?
I think
Right?
this is a great idea. We're gonna build some rockets. We're gonna talk about SpaceX. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun.
You think so? Because we have had a lot of stuff going on the last week or so. Like, I didn't do a stream last week, of course, because it was my wedding anniversary. So yeah, that's been 2 weeks since the stream, and what's been going on? I heard that something happened in Mexico.
Yes, yes, something happened in Mexico. Elon Musk announced that what's going to happen with the future of SpaceX and how they're going to colonize the solar system. And so either this is going to be the I guess the greatest moment in the history of human space exploration, or it's going to be the end of anyone ever taking Elon Musk
It's the
seriously.
end it's the end of Musk as we know
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It is
And I
one or the
feel
other.
fine. So yeah, the plan that I had for today was we want to build like the interplanetary transport system,
Yep.
and the specs that we require. The two important specs are it has to carry 100 people, right? So 100 Kerbals.
Yep.
It has to be able to get to Duna,
Okay.
which is the
200
Kerbal.
Kerbal. Right, of course.
No, 100. It has to be. So we have to be able
start
to
with
get.
100 and then we'll go to 200.
Well, we're going to start with 100. We
Yeah.
aren't doing the Battlestar Galactica thing. And the first stage has to have 42 engines on it. Right? So we got to figure out how to
glad
put
you're the one
42
building
engines
this
on
and
this
not
thing.
Me. My Kerbal, my ability to fly Kerbals to orbit that's the beginning and the end of it.
Oh, getting to orbit is easy. It's
I
the
can do
whole
hard landings on the moon. That is really the beginning and the end then.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool, and I can hear my daughter trying to sneak down behind me, and she is gonna have some serious consequences if she turns up. Also, by the way, I decided that this is a special day that I have some special fuel for this event. I don't know if you know that I usually like to drink beer, so excuse me while I go to full-on webcam and introduce this magnificent thing. So I got to do like 2001. Da 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 da. This is Ninkasi Space Program Ground Control bourbon barreled ale made with yeast that has been flown in space, brewed with Oregon hazelnuts, star anise, cocoa nibs, and ale yeast sent into space. Yes, yes, this is gonna be very special.
That's awesome. You've got space beer.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and actually find out where. Wait a second. Which one were we on? I've suddenly lost which one was the. Oh, there we are. There. Apparently, I said bottom left. You're in there. So yes, I'm gonna open this. This is awesome. So yeah, big beer. So he basically was at what was the name of this event? Because it was like some international space conference thing, and he wasn't the only
Yeah,
person. They said it was a press conference. It was more like a presentation at a conference for space nerds.
Yeah, I forget the name of the conference. But
There were a lot of people there that weren't him. I mean, you had Bill Nye and all that in the audience as well.
the International Astronautical Conference in
Oh,
Guadalajara,
good. You can
Mexico.
be my Google person.
Yeah, I'll be your
Hey,
Google. Yeah.
Siri.
You build spaceships, I will be your Google.
Well, I need to do the building parts first. Okay, so I've just poured some of this out. It's 10% alcohol, so I don't think I'm going to get through the entire bottle tonight, unless this becomes very hard. I haven't done any building so far. I should probably get on that, right?
Well,
So-
right. Okay. So let's try to remember what Elon Musk said today. Right, is that there's going to be the kind of the main reusable rocket that is going to be larger than the Saturn V and essentially the most powerful rocket that's ever been built. Atop that is going to be a crew capsule that'll hold 100 people.
100 very brave people.
Very brave people. It's going to have an empty fuel tank. It's going to then, the whole thing is going to launch into orbit.
Yep.
It's going to then detach. The crew capsule is going to then orbit for a little while. The first stage, or I guess the stage.
I think this was the artistic version. The idea is it's going to refuel after launching 100 people into space, right?
It's going to return back to the surface of the Earth, land at the launch pad.
Yep.
And then a crane is going to then pick up fuel versions of this capsule.
That's literally how it's going to happen. That was not artistic.
Yeah, it's just a crane that really just comes out of nowhere. Takes these capsules, is going to put one on top of that first stage. It's then going to blast up again, refuels the passenger compartment
Thingy.
Yeah,
right.
And then up to 5 times. So that is what you need to build and fly.
So I need to get this thing flying. That's the hard part. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get 100 Kerbals into this. And right now we've got we got 5 in here, we've got 32 here, so we're like not even halfway there yet. I need to figure out if I have some larger modules. I'm just looking at my various modules and seeing what I can use here. I guess I could try like the crew cabins around the outside. That might be the way to do it.
What is the largest? What's the most Kerbals you can jam into a?
I think this is the largest module here, the one that I've got. But I can cheat a little. I can kind of rotate this in a bit, and then add more windows on the side. That's what I'm going to do. So there will be 4. So that's kind of cheating because they won't all be able to get out. But that's okay. I'll add a door. So I'll do that and move it up. Actually, you know what I should just do is, hold on, flip that like that. And no, it's not showing me. Okay, I thought this would work, but no, it is going to defy me. There we go.
Perfect. Lots of room.
Lots of room. Yeah, assuming I can figure out the geometry of this darn thing. I don't know how they're going to fit. I mean, 100 people fitting into that space.
Yeah.
It'll be great if you're the kind of person that, say, worked on board submarines. You'll be total pro at this, right?
Well, he even said in the announcement that this is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be close to, 100 or 99 of your best friends.
Yeah.
For a long time. Okay, so that is me added. There's 4 in this. Wait a second. So each layer has 16. So that's 64. Plus another 32 in there. That's pretty close. That's 96. Plus 4 in here, plus 1 crew, and that is our crew pod.
So like put a couple of
pilots. So we now need to attach pilots and stuff to this.
Yeah.
We now need to make this thing capable of landing, which means giant rocket fuel tanks here, right?
Yeah, you got to build, what was it, 6, a total of 9 engines on the actual landing vehicle so that it can make it through the atmosphere, do some atmospheric braking, and then do an actual powered landing on the surface of...
Yes, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cheat a little here because I'm going to add like an aero shell on top. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea being that this will actually make the thing look a little more streamlined. It might not actually work. You know what? I'm going to have to do some cheating here. Let's start with a fuel tank under this. So the fuel tanks, I do have the procedural fuel tanks feature here. And we should probably put we'll do a layer that's reaction control thrusters in this. So liquid fuel, oxidize. Oh, wait, we don't have... Okay, I guess that's... Where's my monopropellant? Never mind, we'll just do that. I'm just not sure what I'm doing here. There, that'll work. Okay, so if I shrink that down just a touch to the 3.75 and then attach this, then I can bring this thing out, and then we could have something that looks a little more aerodynamic. There we go. Can we bot?
I think if you can just get this thing to Duna, I think then I wouldn't worry too much about how aerodynamic it looks.
Okay. Well, aerodynamic is going to be incredibly important. This thing is going to be really nose heavy because with all this passenger compartment here.
Yeah.
So actually landing it is going to be a serious thing.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things that a lot of people, when they're watching the stream, don't realize, right? Is that that the one of the greatest challenges in getting a payload onto the surface of Mars is just the way the atmosphere works and the size of the spacecraft. And
Yeah,
so
entry, descent, and landing.
yeah, the atmosphere
EDL.
is not thick enough to let you aerobrake the way you can, say, with the Earth's atmosphere. But it's it's like it's too
Although,
thin for you to, or sorry, it's too thick for you to just like go straight in, and it's too thin for you to be able to aerobrake. And so it's this really kind of tough level of thickness. And so this is the plan that Elon Musk is going to use, that SpaceX is going to use, is that they're gonna do a powered landing.
yeah, so how many engines did we need on this stage?
Well, he had a total of 9, I believe. It was 3 surface ones
Yeah, I'm
and
not going to have that
6
distinction,
more.
so let's just do 6 around the outside, and then somehow
Yeah.
I need to make this a stage. Now, that has 1632 delta V, so I actually need more. This needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
I need to make it longer still, and I'm going to make it wider, because I think that is actually where we're losing. We have kind of a limited amount of wideness we can add to this, so I'm just going to stretch it out, and I think this is totally going to go nose first.
I'm impressed though. It's already starting to look like the interplanetary transport system.
Yeah, I think actually that might just work. That's got 2.5 kilometers per second of delta V, and it does need to have the big sticky leg things, and we'll come up with a name for those, because those look really interesting, and the giant solar panels as well. We need to figure out the giant solar panels.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I don't. What is the delta V to go from
In
Kerbal
Kerbal
orbit?
Space Program, you can do it is about 1,200 meters. Oh no, yeah, about 1,200 meters per second. So it's pretty easy.
Right. The
And then, of course, you've got
actual
aero
delta
braking.
V is
It's about
8 kilometers per second to get into Earth orbit, and then it's another 8 kilometers per second to get from Earth to Mars. So total
roughly
16.
speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do slightly better, but yeah, there's not much room for improvement there. Okay, so I'm just going to make this like a common attachment point so we can attach to the big rocket, and then we'll strut this thing to death. Technically, it should be a docking node, but I am not crazy enough to try that.
Have a little more beer. We'll see what we get to.
I'm not going to do that. No. You know what? Actually, I realized I need is some. We need some reaction control systems up here. So that's actually, yeah. I'm going to do that. Get rid of this right now. We're just going to make this thing fly first. We actually have a thrust to weight ratio of 2 with all these engines, so this thing should take off. Let's actually work on getting landing legs working. Now, the problem I've noticed is we don't really have big enough landing legs here. The biggest landing legs we have are actually pretty lousy. So 3 of them? Yeah, that's not going to work. I can't even scale these things up, I don't think. Yeah, there's... Oh, wrong one. Scale. There's no... Oh, there's scale button here. Oh, yes, let's make the legs bigger. That's more like it. Let's try folding them away. Start extended. Start... Yes. Okay, so I think we can get away with maybe 300% scale here.
Mm-hmm.
And yes,
Looks
that's
good.
good. That's looking good.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to shrink them down just a bit more. 3 landing legs as well. Any Kerbal Space Program player will tell you that that is really risking, putting a lot of... Oh, crap, wrong one. That is a pretty risky, landing situation to be under, having only 3. But obviously... he's done 4, so this is just like 1 harder, right?
It's just so it has only 3 legs.
Yeah, I noticed that because it has trilateral symmetry, and we kind of need these wing structures. I'm just not sure if I should do that or if I should rely. Where is the center of mass on this thing? Center of mass is there. Center of mass is like way low, and the center of lift is up there. So this thing will actually naturally go backwards if we let it. However, if I run down like half of the fuel... actually, this thing will want to go backwards during descent. So now the trick is making it want to go sideways, because they want to go sideways.
Yeah,
So-
if you watch the video right, this thing is gonna be entering the Earth's or entering the Martian atmosphere. I guess the Dunartian. How do you say it?
We're gonna the Martian atmosphere. We're just gonna call it the Martian,
Yeah,
right?
so it's going to enter the Martian atmosphere, kind of coming in at the sideways. It's going to try and bleed off as much of that energy as it can in the atmosphere before it then turns and fires its retro rockets and tries to do a powered landing.
Yes, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put aero brakes on this stage, right? So the aero brakes will hopefully let me move the center of drag downwards, and so I can kind of toggle them on and off as appropriate to maybe balance this thing out. So that's my plan. I'm not saying it's going to work, but that's the plan. Right? I think they actually look kind of cool there, to be honest, right?
So far, I think you really have captured as much as possible.
As much as is possible.
As is possible, the way it's been described. I think we're going to do an article about this in Universe Today tomorrow. So we'll publish this live stream tomorrow, and people.
Oh my God! And then beware of the drinking. This is Ninkasi. You know they actually did fly their yeast in space.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's like remember the Fantastic Four? They kind of flew into space and they came back with superpowers.
Yeah.
This yeast is doing the same thing. Okay,
I've got
we have a problem with this. That is not what we wanted to have happen there. So we're going to have a problem with the center of lift here versus the center of mass. Okay, so that's us going. I'm going to burn about half of my fuel and then I'm going to try landing this thing. It's actually pretty stable, I have to say. I am amazed by how stable this is, and I'm not sure why my fuel isn't burning faster. Okay, that's me going at Mach 2. Oh, yes! That's what happens. That was very impressive.
It got off the ground, and it
was going at Mach 2, and it broke up due to aerodynamic stresses. Yeah. And let's see, is there anybody that survived? Oh, there's a crew capsule. There's the whole crew cabin, but there's nobody in it. See, this is why we didn't have anyone on this test flight.
Well, once again, Elon Musk today said that anybody who flies on board has to be prepared to die.
Well, Jebediah Kerman, he's here. He never gives up. We're going to see what we can do here. Do you think we can land him? This is me making just like one bold gesture that perhaps something is possible.
Has he got a parachute?
No, no parachute.
Yeah. Has the module got a parachute?
No, the module was parachuteless. Right. He is falling at 126 meters per second, so that's about 200, 300 miles per hour.
Yeah, that just hang on to that module, use that to slow you down.
No, the module is falling faster than him. In fact, the module seems to have quite a bit of body lift. It's going off in that direction. He is just like not doing... He does have a little jetpack, but the jetpack only provides about half a G of thrust, so like this. Yeah, it's slowing him down a little. And maybe... No, 100 meters per second. Oh, there's things exploding now. And that explodes. He's down to 100 meters per second. Let's spin him upside down, see if he can land on his head. Hey! Oh, yes. The famous physics bug in Kerbal Space Program kicks in.
Oh, did you land him?
He totally landed him, and he's smiling. This is, of course, due to a glitch in Kerbal Space Program.
Does that technology
no,
work in the real world?
If you land on your head in the real world, it's generally worse. That's just but Kerbal Space Program, yep. Yeah, actually, nice. So I think I need some struts in this. That's what I really need. I wish I had better... I'm looking to see if I have some other fairings here. I don't think I have the procedural fairings module. I could actually have an inflatable heat shield. That might be a nice thing. So one of the things that I really want is the nice looking fairings. That's a fairing for the completely wrong kind of rocket. Not useful here. Not useful. Yeah, we're just going to have to try and strut this thing up a little more to make it strong for descent. So let me just do something like that. There we go. So that'll hold these things together. So the idea being that we're basically adding multiple redundant attachment points to brace everything together, because normally by default the game creates like singular points, and singular points, as you know, are not strong. This might last a little better. Okay, save this and launch. Here we're going one more time. Jebediah Kerman is described as the Richard Hammond of spaceflight.
That is awesome.
And I like, because of some physics bug, we jump off the pad instantly. Which is... oh, no. Whoa, wow, that was pretty bad. We're going to go this direction. Yeah, let's go this direction. Let's actually just see if I can land this thing. I'm going to put... whoa! Drag in this direction. So actually the drag should send me that way. I want him to go retrograde. That's what I want it to go. And then I'm going to shut down this.
So can you somehow magically transport it to...
I could totally transport it to Duna using the magic of game cheatery.
Yeah, and see if it can handle the aerodynamic stresses. Because in theory, right, it's not going to be having... oh, that's great. The problem is I'm watching the delay of...
yeah, you're watching the delay. I'm trying to land this thing.
I'm seeing you gimbal those motors around.
Yeah, that's
really
my
nicely.
control system. This is me totally flying by guesswork. Like, uh-oh.
Right, but the point is that, you know, it fell apart because of the aerodynamic stresses with the Earth's atmosphere.
Okay, well, you know, we kind of landed it, you know, no fatalities this time. Well, we didn't have any fatalities last time, but the crew compartment is completely structurally sound.
We're looking for volunteers, any 100 Kerbals willing and able to die on Mars. No children.
Yes, no children and no pets. You know, I was at the Dent space thing, and there was some guy saying, just like, you know, space will really have arrived when we start sending children. And to him I said, no, space will really have arrived when we start sending our pets, or bringing our pets.
Right. When it costs, you know, right now $10 billion to send a human to Mars, it's definitely, you got to really love those pets, even when they cost $200,000 to send a human to Mars.
Yeah, I'm going to attach like a ring of Vernier engines on the bottom here that will also help with my, like, control. Might just give me a little more control authority during descent. And yeah, let's save this. And
Set that aside. We'll need that for later.
What I'm going to do is I think we're going to actually crew this thing up, because honestly, we haven't got enough Kerbals. We've got a small number. Let's go to the astronaut complex and actually start hiring people.
Now, will their weight make a big difference?
No, they don't really. They're just... it's the same regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have some part of the rocket filled. So now the stakes are higher. Fatalities will be greater, but the research that we gain as a result will also be enhanced, because we all know that more people have the chance of dying, the more research comes out. Or I don't know. I'm sure there's some universal law that says that.
That's exactly how it works.
That is not exactly how it works. Yeah, speaking of risk, actually, so... I mean, what do we think about this whole thing of having 42 engines on this first stage with the Raptor, which is going to have the highest chamber pressure of any rocket engine ever designed?
Yeah, did you?
At least the higher intentional, chamber pressure.
Yeah, he described it as a good thing, though, that you could then lose a couple of rockets, you could lose a couple of engines, and the whole thing would still be able to take off, still be able to land, no problem.
Yeah, but you know what happens when rocket engines fail? They do have a habit of blowing up and blowing up the ones next to them. And I understand that modern software means these things can shut down really, really, really quickly. And that's what happened on early Falcon flight, right? Engine kind of, if everyone said it exploded, no, it kind of shut down. It didn't really explode. If it had exploded, chamber pressure does bad things and blows things up. So I'm going to head this thing to Duna into a low orbit, and we'll see if we can actually land. There we go. Look, we have a Martian-type body there. Well, you won't be able to see that, but when you see it, you will be impressed by how beautiful it looks. Okay. And now I need to figure out where we are going to begin our deorbit burn. Right here, add maneuver. So I'm just going to begin a deorbit, and then we'll try skipping through the atmosphere and landing somewhere about there. Yeah, so you don't think he's tempting fate by following the Soviet Russia version where they put tons of engines on the first stage? Because obviously,
You think
you
of
know,
the N1.
right, the
Yeah.
N1. So Saturn V, they went for really, really big engines,
Yep.
giant combustion chambers. Soviets, they went for the highest efficiency engines in the world at the time.
Yep.
You know, those were marvels. But yes, if one of them exploded, the whole vehicle was lost, right?
Yep. Yeah. And they didn't work very well.
But they did work very well because the Antares was using them just fine, except for the one that exploded.
Except for the one that exploded. Yeah, but they didn't get to the surface of the moon with these things.
Well, I mean, they sure, their grand plan to get to the moon didn't quite pan out.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say that I don't think it was the engines that caused that problem.
What do you think was-
I think actually the engines were largely fine, but a lot of just the general project management on the N1 was just bad.
Right.
There was a lot of people getting put into positions because they knew the right person or whatever. It was, it was Soviet Russia where it was a very prestigious project and there was a lot of people getting placed in positions they weren't really qualified for necessarily.
And once the Americans, I guess, made it to the surface of the moon, it kind of took the wind out of their sails, and they stopped really trying because that goal was sort of over.
Yes. Hold on. So where's my periaps? I got to bring my periaps down. There we go. So I'm going to try this entry and descent and landing, which is quite one of the hardest things to figure out in the real Mars. Duna is a little more forgiving because the atmosphere doesn't really get going until the last minute. And then you can, in fact, use parachutes. And let's see
Well,
if this
don't. I forbid it. You can't.
We're not
use
using parachutes. Yeah, I'm really interested. I tried. So they've talked about Red Dragon, right? And proposed Red Dragon as a legit venture, and I'm kind of in agreement. That's an awesome idea. I tested it in Kerbal Space Program, and I was totally able to land it. I was using a real-scaled Mars, using an aerodynamic model of the Dragon 2, and you can fly that capsule really nicely if you get it set up correctly. The only way I cheated was that I had a bit more control authority on the position of the center of mass, and I gave myself about 1 kilometer per second of delta V as opposed to a few hundred meters per second. But, this whole aerodynamic hypervelocity landing thing legit works.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I think the entire Mars mission that Elon Musk is proposing hinged on this technical accomplishment of being able to create these engines that are capable of landing pretty much on any body in the solar system. These the Super Draco thrusters, the way that they're
which
going
are
to be
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a great method, and I think once they had sort of achieved the thrust levels they wanted, and once they developed the Red Dragon plan to put this spacecraft down on the surface of Mars, that really opened up the whole plan for all the rest of their, this interplanetary transit system. All of these things all really hinged on them being able to solve this technical problem of, can you put a heavy payload down on the surface of Mars? And if you can crack that, then you can pretty much crack any other body in the solar system.
Right. Well, Mars has a bit enough of an atmosphere. I mean, Europa, that's a vacuum, and the problem with Europa is that you're basically near Jupiter, and if you're near Jupiter, then you're moving pretty fast, and so you actually have to bleed off a lot of delta V somehow. I don't know. I guess I'm saying that Mars is just a different set of problems compared to other locations.
Yeah. Well, it's just that, with Europa, it's just like landing on the moon, where you don't have to worry about the atmosphere of the body. You can just focus on the thrust and be able to make sure that you got a good landing vector. But with Mars, you got to deal with that atmosphere, and it's not enough, but it's too much, and that is just the problem.
Okay, so one thing I've realized is that I should not have gimbal on these external engines. That's my big mistake so far. So I'm trying to go sideways into the atmosphere here to bleed off speed more quickly. This is what's going on here. And I'm cheating a little because I'm using electric charge and I'm not using... Oh, actually, what I should do
have you got the solar panels?
I didn't bring the solar panels.
Okay.
I cheated on that, and so I'm using infinite electric power charge hack. And at this point, we're now feeling too much aerodynamic force for me to maintain my attitude. So I'm getting more or less forced into a reverse thing. Okay, let's just do that. We're just going to go into a retrograde orientation. One actually interesting thing I noticed... So the second stage, right, this Mars vehicle, it does have the large vacuum engines, but it has a small number of, sea level engines, which the only time those would really have any use, I thought, would be on landing on Earth. But as I thought more, I realized actually, right, they'll probably use them on Mars as well, because it's not just the sea level pressure, right? So we think of static pressure, but when you're going in reverse into an atmosphere at 1% and you're traveling at several kilometers per second, the dynamic pressure is going to matter. Yeah. So, if you try to fire a vacuum engine directly into there, you're going to end up with flow separations being a real risk. So it actually is a safer option to use those for a Mars landing. So I'm just going to run time faster. Here we go. But anyway, that was what I was thinking.
People who have joined later wondering who I am, so I'm just going to mention.
Yeah, you should totally, tell them.
Yeah, so I'm Fraser Cain. I'm the publisher of Universe Today. I am the and the co-host of Astronomy Cast, and I've wanted to do some kind of collaboration with Scott Manley for quite a while, and he told me what he was planning to do today, and I just had to get on board and participate.
Let's just hang out and talk about spaceships.
We'll talk about space, watch you drink beer. I should have come more prepared.
You should have come. I did warn you that I would be drinking beer.
Did you? Oh, I would have. We've got some great microbreweries around here.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is every time I go somewhere, I need to drink a new beer. Like
next time you want to come to Vancouver Island, we got you set, man.
I would love to. I'm trying to sort out my whole legal status here, but that's my whole thing. I am, I'm desperately looking for the time to start traveling to places, because I have a ton of invites, and my day job really makes it very hard for me to fully accept these things. So we're now at 6 kilometers above the surface, and we are bleeding off speed just far too slowly. We are far too aerodynamic. Good news is that we have tons of thrust, and we should be able to slow down pretty quickly. What is my vertical speed? Vertical speed is 113, and I'm going to need to fire... Oh, crap!
Uh-oh. What happened?
I just had... I started firing. The gimbals in these are a little aggressive, and you'll see that as soon as the stream returns. The gimbals are rather aggressive. I'm going to shut down these. I'm going to shut down those.
This is the problem. I'm, like I said, I'm seeing
You're seeing it a few seconds after me.
I'm seeing the result of what's happening, and so like, did we lose all our Kerbals? You know what this is like? This is like us actually trying to send a mission to Mars, and I'm ground control back on Earth, and having to deal with the time delay that's going back and forth. Now, the time delay here is really only, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and now I'm seeing this...
there is actually a game that lets you try that. Maneuver a Mars rover with 30-second lag.
Yeah.
It's pretty tedious.
Yeah, already I'm, I really want that real-time interaction, so, this is a funny thing.
Yeah, I'm one kilometer up and moving at 30 meters per second, so I'm actually going too slow. So these engines are fake because they can throttle way deeper than the real Merlin engines. Raptor engines, they said, would be able to throttle down to 20%, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like, stunningly impressive. Okay, wait. Thrust. Slow down. Oh, stop. No. Okay, you know what? I'm hitting a dangerous situation. Okay.
Do I need the congratulations speech, or do I need the sad speech?
Well, the good news is that everyone survived.
All right.
The bad news is that they are not going home on this rocket.
Well, that is again, that is
I mean,
not
that
the
was part of the
problem.
plan. Look,
Yeah,
we can actually just pop everything open. Hold on.
yeah,
Oh,
and
wait.
that was one of the really interesting themes about the presentation from Elon Musk today, um, was how, there were a lot of questions about like what are people going to do once they get to the surface of Mars? How are they going to deal with the radiation? Oh, I see why that happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, how are they going to deal with radiation? And it was pretty funny because Elon Musk's whole take was that is not my problem. I am going to get you to Mars. What you do there is entirely up to you. I'll make it happen. I'll get you there. Um, you know, at that point, I take no further responsibility for your lives, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when he was asked whether he would go. He was kind of like, well, I'd like to watch my kids grow up.
Yeah.
It's
People
like,
ask me that question all the time too, right? Like, would you go? And my answer
in
is,
a heartbeat, except for my kids.
I would like it to be safe, and I also really like Earth.
Well, that's the other thing. Earth is kind of nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
Earth
these
is
panels
great.
are wimpy.
So,
I need bigger panels.
if I could go and visit and it was safe, and then as soon as I got bored of being on Mars, then I could come back home to Earth, then I would do it. But if I had to go and it was incredibly dangerous and, say goodbye to my kids and I would never be able to return and mostly just be like digging around in the dirt on Mars, I don't think I would do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I obviously definitely want to go. I just can't say I don't want to go. That would be absolute untruth. Aha, I can scale up the solar panels. How's this going to look? Nice. That is looking pretty good. Okay, so we kind of got our solar panels, but they're not strictly correct. But we'll go for that. Retract panels. Okay, so I think we have our vehicle.
And
now we need to build the, as they used to call it, the BFR, right?
Right. The big fragging rocket. No, the
Yes.
big fantastic rocket.
Big fantastic rocket. I'm actually going to disable gimbals on these as well.
So now, can you solve that falling over on the side and the rocket part exploding problem?
I can.
Okay.
With landing it correctly. What happened was during final descent, I actually overcooked it a little, and my automated control systems started trying to align in the wrong direction. Things just didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to fix that. I am going to put, let me just see, I'm going to put some, so we're going to try and figure out the best way to attach this to the spacecraft below it. That'll work. And then we need a decoupler. Yeah, well, we'll have to, I think some of these things, many of these things can be solved by good piloting. And I will point out that SpaceX does actually have some pretty good software engineers that make some pretty good, flight control hardware, right? Flight control software. I am cheating by not doing that. I'm trying to fly it by hand.
You're flying it by wire. You're just going to take control and get it down to the surface.
Yeah, I'm just flying it myself because that's fun, right? They're saying, some people might want to go to Mars to be pioneers. I want people to go to Mars because I want to save, make the human race a multi-planet civilization. I want to fly the rocket because it looks like fun, right? I mean, that's where I'm at. Okay,
well,
so
you should fly for the astronaut corps.
I am unfortunately not American.
Well, there's
also
British.
I'm probably a little old now.
Yeah.
I will instead live vicariously through all the people that have learned bad habits from me. I'm sure one of these days we will find an astronaut in space that's like, oh yes, I was inspired by a Kerbal space program.
I've learned everything I
I'm not sure I learned everything I know, but I can
certainly
certainly see people that are absolutely inspired. I get mails all the time from people that have been inspired by this. Like there's one guy that was like, before Kerbal, I was going to do an English major. And it's like, I don't want to diss English majors, but like he's now doing like aerodynamics. He's aeronautics or whatever. And like he's full on awesome, scientist type
Well,
person now.
we get letters all the time in Astronomy Cast where people tell us that because we've been doing this show for 10 years now. We just wrapped up our 420th episode, I think.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we get letters all the time from people. They're like, I've been listening to you and you inspired me to go and to go into physics and astronomy, and now I've graduated. Now I'm working on my master's degree. And it's crazy to think, that from us just yakking about astronomy every week, we've led people down career paths.
These rabbit holes.
Yeah. Now, we've tried to be really clear that it's very difficult to get a job in astronomy, but
yeah, this is why I'm work as a software developer, right?
Yeah. Well,
because I think at this point I could probably go back and I think I'm a far smarter person than I was, I have to say. But yeah, it's the best feeling. Oh crap! It was the best. Every time I see people telling me that, it's the one thing that kind of keeps me coming back to playing Kerbal, because people are still learning things from it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what texture I like.
Yeah.
Ooh, German, gold foil, grey. I don't have SpaceX. I think we're gonna just go with boring tiles.
Well, you just want that white, right?
Yeah, sorta.
That sort of glossy SpaceX white.
I just don't know how to get 42. Oh wait a second, 42 engines on this thing. I'm trying to think what kind of. I mean, if I take these engines.
Yeah. Now,
wow.
If you click on the symmetry button, will it take you all the way up to 42?
With some models, but the way we need to do it with things that actually look realistic, right? So I'm going to use the same vector engines because they're kind of cool. And we know that there's one in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And then there's 6 around that, so I'm going to move them really as close as I can get. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. I could cheat and scale them down. Oh, that's actually something maybe I should do on the second stage. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to scale down the second stage, and that way the first stage. Okay, so this is kind of a bit of cheating. I'm going to just scale it down to like 0.9 meters. There we go. So the thrust will be a little low. What I'm doing is I'm making these cosmetically better.
Right. That's important. What matters is that it looks right.
Oh, actually, no, I can maintain these at the big size. There, so I have the big ones. Okay, you probably can't see this now, but I
can see right now I can see the 7 big engines.
Right, so now I've changed it. We've got the big vacuum engines around the outside, and then we've got 3 little ones in the middle. Yes, and so they look like the vacuum engines, and then we have the... Right, and so now all of these I should just scale down to 0.9. That's going to be my trick.
In chat, Silent Searchlight says that you must know that Elon Musk picked the number 42 because of Douglas Adams. Am I right?
Yes, he wants to call the first one the Heart of Gold. Yes. Yeah. Because let's face it, his plan does fit the whole idea of infinite improbability. I mean, I am fascinated and a huge proponent, etc., etc., etc. But even I completely agree that this is a bold, crazy plan, but it might just work. I mean, I like the idea of the crazy plan, but it might just work. I wanted to do a series called "It's a Crazy Plan, but it might just work," just about crazy things that NASA engineers have come up with. Oh crap! I don't know if you saw what I was talking about at Dent Space this week. Do you know about Dent the Future thing? They were doing their conference in San Francisco. It was a really interesting conference. In that I sat down for lunch, and the first person I sat down with was a postgrad that was at Stanford that was doing scramjet CFD, right? Okay, so wait a second. I've got 16 plus 6 plus 1. So I've got like 23, which means on this final stage I need 22, right? Wait, did I get that right? Because we need 42. Wait. Wait, I need 19. Hold on. Am I doing my math right? Wait, 6.
Do I need to get a calculator here?
Yes, you need to get 16, 20, 23 on this stage, right? Which means that we need another 19.
You're no, wait, 23.
20, I'm I can't do basic math suddenly. This beer is really getting to me already.
What percentage?
16, 22, 23, and we want 42, which means I need 21. No, 19. I do need 19. Why can't I do this basic math? I need 19 on this stage. And that is going to be unfortunate because I need to find, like, 19 is a prime number.
So you can't divide it by anything.
I can't divide it by anything. So you know what? I'm just going to cheat. 19 is pretty close to 18, right?
Wait a second. What? Are you compromising?
I'm going to have 41 engines.
41 engines. Well, this simulation is garbage then.
Oh, man. 41. Where can I put that? Where can I do this? How can I... Right, wait, we have 7 in here. Let's do the math, right? How can I get this? We have... How many are in each ring? 1, 6, 14, 21. That's what Arctic Force is saying.
Have you got a picture of the rocket configuration?
I don't, but I think I'm going to go with this configuration. 14, 21, because I can do... I can sort of do those, right? So, 14 is unfortunately only... Yeah. I can make a 14... wait a second. I can make 14 by doing 2 groups of 6, right? Right, so do this.
I just did a search for Interplanetary Transport Network, and someone already had Kerbal Space Program as, like, the next suggested...
Yes, anything Elon Musk has Kerbal Space Program listed in close proximity. He's a bit of a fan. I'm sure you've heard. So I think I'm going to cheat and just sit a pair in there. Right there on the stair. Little rocket with clogs on. Going clip... No, wait, never mind. Sorry, that's a song from my youth. So there, we've kind of got 14 in this ring here. And so I should actually disable the gimbals in this ring, because he did say that the outside ring did not have gimbaling.
Okay, I've got his presentation in front of me here.
Okay.
There's a PDF here. Let me see if I can find it exactly now, because I remember in the presentation, and he showed us what the rocket configuration looked like. There it is. Here we go. So he's got the 7 in the middle, and then he's got around that 1, 2,
lots.
5.
Okay, so the next ring I'm going to do is rings of 3, and I'm going to try and spit
14. Yeah, people are yelling at us in the chat. So
yes, I know. This is what happens. People know how to build rockets, and they can do all the math.
Yeah, they can both build rockets and do math simultaneously.
So here's the problem. By the way, you'll notice that we've got this is the number. This is the correct number, right? Does anyone want to count them? So that's 7 there, right? So this is 21 in this ring. There is 14 in this ring, right? So that is 35. 35 plus 7 is 42. And our thrust to weight ratio is 0.85 at sea level.
So this thing's going to get off the ground?
I'm going to need to shrink this stage a little. That's all I'm needing to do. So I'm going to make it actually shorter. It's only going to be like 40 meters tall. There we go.
Right.
But the good news is
booster is going to be 100 meters tall. Well, I guess the whole rocket plus the capsule on top is going to be 100.
Yeah, the hard part is just fitting all these engines in. You know why it's hard to fit all these engines in? It's because Raptor is so goddamn, like, beyond any engine that we reasonably have. It's just like there is no analog that makes sense. Okay, I have to shrink the diameter of this and then make it longer. That's what I'm going to do. I don't care that I'm overlapping engines at this point. We need to make it longer so that it looks more proportional to the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start
with... let you have more fuel on it, right?
Yeah, that'll let me have more fuel, but it means that I can fit everything in. Okay, so that looks a little better. It has... I think
Can you make it longer?
I could actually decrease the amount of fuel and then make it longer, right?
Yeah.
How does this look? The problem is I think that is actually looking not so bad. And the problem is I can't get the camera far enough away from this thing. And the other problem is
We'll
that
have
now
to see
because
it on the launch pad.
yeah, we'll have to
do it
see it on
live.
the launch pad. But if I put it on the launch pad, it will just disintegrate because the struts have all moved. So I have to reapply all my strutting. Of course, SpaceX have had problems with struts in the past.
So
Right.
now, how many of them have you set up as gimbaled?
I've set up basically the 7 in the middle, like he said in
Yeah,
his
so the outer
presentation.
engines are fixed in place. The center cluster is gimbaled.
And I'm going to add a set of vernier engines just because I might need the control authority for landing.
Yep.
Not saying that I'm going to be able to do that. See. I think I'm getting drunk because I'm definitely having to think twice about some of these things. And
then,
we
then
need
you're
these.
almost in the same headspace that Elon Musk was in when he
I don't.
figured
Does he
this out.
drink? I don't. I'm
I don't
not
know.
sure. It's one of these things, like.
Have you met
think-
him?
I've never met him.
Yeah.
I think he might have mentioned me once in respect to Kerbal Space Program, but that's about it. Like, I don't think.
Have you been to SpaceX?
I have like a standing invite from dozens of people there that are like,
Yeah.
you should come down. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I would love to come down
Well,
But-
why don't you?
because I have a day job, which is really, really busy.
Well, okay, so I've been
You might
there.
have noticed that we had this whole, phone thing that we launched.
Well, I've gotten the same invite that you have, and I took people up on it when I was in Los Angeles last.
Right, I don't get to. I haven't been to LA ever.
Okay. It's amazing.
I might be in
unbelievable.
LA to do some. I might have this little TV project thing, just
Yeah.
for people that might wanna be interested. Okay, so the other thing that I want is he had fins on this thing, right,
He had
for
fins
descent
up at
control.
the top. Yeah.
I thought he had grid fins at the top, but he also said he had fins at the bottom. I don't have grid fins, unfortunately. But what I'm gonna do is put like little canards. I'm just gonna put canards at both ends, right? And then I'm just gonna put them here. They're not quite lined up, but I also have in here just 2 different probe cores. The idea being that I can flip my control status by switching between them. So I think this might work, or it could be a complete disaster. Either way, I think we're at the point where we should try launching this sucker.
I think it's both. Now, can
Okay.
you put it back down right on the pad? Now, what about the...
We're not going to put it down back on the pad. There is nothing, not in the...
All right. All right. Like, once again, I call this simulation a failure then.
I have landed things on the pad, and it was a nuclear-powered rocket that had, like, hundreds of kilometers per second of delta V, and it hovered for about 2 minutes before I put it down exactly on the pad. I think that is a pretty good approximation.
I
mean,
Yep, I think it looks good. Now his is more of a sort of like the symmetry is sort of
Triangular, yes.
Yeah, it's triangular as opposed to that sort of 4-part symmetry that you've put there. But I think it's going to work.
I'm going to run time until the next day because it will be more dramatic if we launch at, the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be like a new day.
No, so the SpaceX facility is pretty amazing, and I mean I was there probably 4 years ago, and this was before a lot of the announcements, and there was sort of half of the facility that I was allowed to look around in, and then half that I wasn't able to go and take a look at. And one of the parts that just kind of blew my mind is they went to this facility where they had a 3D printer that 3D printed titanium.
Yeah.
And so they gave you this block of titanium, and you would hold it up to the light, and you could see the light coming through
The tiny holes that
the
they
tiny
printed.
holes of titanium. That was
Right, yeah,
the
because Apple does
resolution
that for
of the
Apple does a
titanium.
lot of that kind of thing for
Amazing.
machine design. Okay, we're doing this. You might be blocked out of. You might be getting eclipsed by the sound of rocket engines from this thing. Just so you know. I think we are actually motoring pretty well. We might be gravity turning a little more aggressively than I would like. That's the only thing I would say. But thanks to the amazing control authority of those engines, we are in a good state, a good place. Okay, now I'm gonna turn a little harder. Yeah, I mean, I've heard about their friction stir welding machines and various. I do have friends that have been there. I've like the most random friends in tech that know all about all this stuff and get to go, and I'm eternally working on day jobs and things like that. I get a family.
Is to make your fun your day job.
Well, my day job is working at an awesome company that makes awesome things, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I can't. They're not making rocket things. So they're doing their own thing, and they're not in the rocket business. I gotta point that out repeatedly. They are not in the rocket business. Okay.
I'm now watching this thing take off. It seemed a little soft in the middle.
It does seem a little soft in the middle. So I'm going to get the apoaps up above the atmosphere. And we are actually getting a little red here. I think I might aim for landing on the other continent or something. We'll figure out the landing when it's appropriate. Okay, I'm going to cut the engines at this point.
Yeah.
And should I risk separating when we're at peak aerodynamic stress? Sure. Let's see. Oh, that thing's going. Okay, now what I think I'm going to do is actually fire engines on this thing and just basically kick this thing off into a time to apoaps, which is much, much higher. If I let the apoaps... Since I've got so much delta V, I can afford to give it like a 10-minute time to apoaps. It will not be efficient, but it should give me time to land the other part. So this is kind of cheating. All the same, I have enough delta V that I don't need to worry about it. It is our sort of semi-realistic spacecraft, at least in this respect. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this thing is going to actually go up to 470 kilometers. And this thing, now, I'm going to hit F5 and we're going to try landing this. That is us. Reaction control system thrusters. Where are we going?
You're landing the booster now.
I'm going to try landing the booster. Hell yeah.
All right. That is part of the mission profile.
That is part of the mission profile.
This whole simulation a dismal failure if you're not able to actually.
So I might be able to hit that land there.
That continent.
That I might be able to do that. The only problem is that I don't have enough control authority right now. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to this control from here. Okay, so that means this way I'm actually reversing my controls. So there's a problem with Kerbal Space Program that the reaction, the wing surfaces, they get reversed. And so if your spacecraft thinks it's pointing up and you're flying in reverse, it will make the control surfaces work in the wrong direction. That's very bad for things like this, where we actually want to use aerodynamics to make this thing land. But I think I can bring this down just fine. So I'm going to wait until it hits the atmosphere and becomes passively stable before I start burning. Oh, I noticed incidentally that it's telling me that my delta V is minus 1400 meters per second. I am going to beg to differ and think that perhaps I might be able to manage this. Okay, here we go.
How much fuel have you got left in the tank? Not a lot.
Not a lot. Not that much. But you know what I forgot to do? Was I forgot to only have the core engines working. Oh yeah, I forgot to have only the core engines set up, which means I'm going to have to cheat by throttling a little too deep in this case. Oh man, this thing is still falling. Like it's not stabilizing, that's my problem.
Maybe, well, I mean, in the original SpaceX, right, it's got those flaps that come out.
Right, and so that actually helps.
To stabilize, right?
Right, and you'll notice that those grid fins, they're way up at the top, and they don't deploy until after stage separation. Because, of course, if they deployed prior to that, you would have moved your center of lift into the wrong place, and your rocket might actually flip around. Okay, now we are descending backwards into the atmosphere, and I think the control surfaces may actually be doing their job. No, this is totally awesome. So now this is where I should start doing... Oh, wait, something exploded there. Something is exploding! Engines are exploding here.
Well, there's no Kerbals on that stage anyway.
There's no Kerbals on that stage.
No.
All the same, I would like to,
fine.
like... Okay, I've slowed this thing down. Okay. The whole thing just exploded.
Oh.
Yeah, you remember how the what do you call it? Some of the ones got rather cooked from coming down too fast. Well, that's what appears to have happened. We have a whole army of rocket engines shooting through the atmosphere at the speed of sound, and they're going to hit in one giant glorious cluster bomb. 42 engines striking down into the ocean, bringing vengeance to the fish that ever insulted SpaceX.
I really hope that Elon Musk is taking notes at this point, right? Bleed off that return
speed. Yes.
Yeah. That maybe a big tube with a lot of rockets and explosiveness on it is not the best. Look at them go. Yeah, is not.
Yeah.
Is a challenging thing to bring back to Earth, because with the right now with the Falcon 9, they're just bringing back that first stage. It's not going that fast. It doesn't have to bleed off that much sideways velocity. It is through the thickest part of the atmosphere, but it's not as trying to re-enter from essentially orbital speed to then come back and land on the surface. So this is a huge challenge, and I think you've uncovered really one of the weak spots of the interplanetary transit system.
Okay, so to be fair, right, they are planning on a return to launch site profile, which means they're going to turn around and they're going to come down mostly vertical at a much lower velocity. The ones that have been cooked, if you remember, were the ones that are the geostationary spacecraft, right? The ones where they are basically coming down and they're using like 3 engines and they're not slowing down as much because their fuel margins are much lower. And look, the real plan is, of course, is to launch those using Falcon Heavy, where they will have much bigger margin performance, right? That's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I mean, just that one whole stage to just get up into orbit, or I'm not sure how much of the crew compartment is going to act like that second stage and complete getting in the orbital maneuver and then let that first stage go back down. But I think no matter what, it's going to be going fast, and it's going to be a risky maneuver to bring that thing back to Earth. I think like I said, I think you uncovered one gigantic flaw in the plan.
I won't call it a flaw just yet. But anyway, look, we're going to get this thing into orbit. It's going to look the business. We're going to be in a very high orbit here. But here we go. Periapsis is above the surface, and it is above the atmosphere. And we have successfully put this into orbit. The only thing I'm going to say now is that, if I had actually just gone into orbit without trying to do the recovery, I would have gone into a much closer, more circular orbit, and I could have done the whole Mars transfer thing.
Yeah. Because
I had enough delta V. Instead, we're supposed to refuel, and I haven't actually built any refueling capability into this.
You've got to just build this. Oh, I see. Right.
Well, I haven't even thought about how I would build the refueling rig.
Well, Elon Musk has shown you this, and we'll just go back to his guidelines. You would have another version of the spacecraft that looks almost the same, and the two will mate.
They will mate in space.
They'll mate in space, and then one will, then the fuel tank one will deliver all the fuel to the crew capsule, and then detach, and then I was unclear what happened to them then. Did they just?
Well, they land. They land.
They do land. Okay.
Yeah. And I will point out that if you put like 100 people on a journey to Mars and they've got nothing to do for 90 days, there will probably be a lot of mating in space.
Right. Both in terms of fuel transfer and...
I mean, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. We're going to play... He told you, you're going to watch a lot of shows, you're going to play some zero-gravity games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and what is the most fun thing? This is, like I get parents telling me though, I'm so glad you're not X-rated like all those other crude individuals. But
You can put advertising on this video if you want.
oh, I totally put advertising on this video.
Yeah, it will get...
This will pay for Sky to post on my Twitter and things like that. Which that happened. She took over my Twitter on Saturday night. It was pretty hilarious, and she has been punished severely for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reroute this. What that means is I am picking a new object to become the center of this rocket. And now I can just like take off the top and kind of work on this stage to make it something that can actually come together, do the space mating thing. Mm-hmm. So let's see. First thing we're going to do is... oh, pardon me. Oh, wait. No, I need those landing legs because we got to land somehow. I don't know how this thing is going to land. I have no idea how I can descend this thing through the atmosphere. I can get rid of the solar panels, I guess, because those things aren't going to be useful. We're going to make the tank a little longer.
Yeah. I'm just taking a bunch of notes. I'm going to pass these along to Musk. Scratch solar panels.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is put like another tank on top of this, and then we'll have a little control node at the front with the claw. Because the claw lets me... I haven't thought about docking with the other thing, which means I have to use something called the claw. And then I need a reaction control thruster system.
That's who chooses who will stay and who will go?
No, it's what lets us actually fly and dock these things in space.
So you'll grab on to the other one.
Yes, using giant claws. Yes.
And then transfer fuel.
Yes, we will mate in space and transfer the fuel. Transfer the important fluids. Operational fluids.
Now, could you have it do this as a... like from the booster rocket, have it do a single stage transfer to Mars, or will it need to refuel as well?
No. Well, actually, so if I had just launched that booster without trying to do the whole landing thing, I could have totally got it to Mars. To Duna, sorry.
Yeah.
Which is the Martian equivalent.
And it had...
it had enough delta V to get there, enough delta V to land.
And it could land, yeah.
And, well, we might burn up, but...
Yeah, we saw how that landing went. I think, again, the tips we're going to send back to Musk are just careful with the landing.
Yes, and so I'm going to put a bunch of reaction control thrusters around this.
Notes for Musk. I'm just writing this down. Notes for Musk. The landing is going to be hard. So
the landing is, but it is possible. And I'm honestly really impressed that they've come up with this whole like hypersonic body deflected landing thing. Have you seen that Apollo video showing how they were going to do EDL with the skip landing for the Apollo missions? It was made back in the like 60s.
No, but I'm...
Oh, it's a classic info video with like really... Oh, what the heck is that?
I'm kind of imagining it right now, but what that would mean.
Oh, wow. Those NASA videos from that era, they were fantastic, I tell you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a cone, but this cone does not want to attach.
So where are you in the beer spectrum? Are you still working on your first one?
I'm still... Well, I mean, this is actually... I think I've had more than half of this bottle, and it is 10% alcohol, by the way. So, yeah. You should look for this if you can get it. It's from Oregon.
That sounds great.
Well, from Oregon and space. Because it's a collaboration between...
space. Oregon
via
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something very strange with this thing here.
Yeah.
This fuel tank is not wanting to work.
I don't have space beer, but I do have space tomatoes.
Space tomatoes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, you're Canadian. You should say tomatoes.
Oh, we don't. We say tomato.
That is so wrong. Even my daughter says tomato.
Well, she's...
What are you doing to the Queen's English?
Probably learned it from you. Well, you should hear me say Zed. So I say Zed properly.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And my wife's American, so resources we say. Do you guys say resources or resource? They say Americans say resources, which is pretty weird.
I say resources. I don't know what am I saying?
Yeah, resources. Yeah, that's right.
Resources.
Yeah,
I
a
don't know.
Z-ish sound in the middle.
Yeah,
And,
there's. I
yeah.
mean, what else would you say? Like, I mean,
Apparently, we're the laughing stock of the United States.
but you're not in the United States, so
Well, that's
you
what I
get to
mean.
laugh
So
at them. I mean,
the
you get to laugh at them during this
you're
whole
you're
general
wearing this
election, and
hat.
as yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Um,
oh my God, you people are like somehow not seeing the wood for the trees. But actually, no politics, because we would like to just celebrate what we have in common rather than arguing over what we disagree on, because that is a much better way to run a space program.
exactly.
Right? Let's just make that
Yeah.
clear.
So my space tomatoes.
Yes.
The tomatoes were grown. I think they were sprouted in space. The seeds went to space, and then they
Ah,
brought back the seeds, and then have been propagating them ever since. And so I run space tomatoes every year, which is
space
yeah. And so
tomatoes.
you could taste the space.
Taste the space.
Yeah, and you're probably doing that right now with the yeast.
Yeah, I mean, it has been transformed. I'm also tasting, cocoa nibs and hazelnuts and all these other things.
It's a real tragedy that those didn't go to space as well. That really would have been
I think, yeast is a lot lighter.
to grow a hazelnut tree in space.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Again, that's up there with the "we will properly be in space when we start taking our pets" statement.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how to make this thing self-sustain. I probably will need some solar panels, actually. You know what? I could actually, now I think about it, I wonder if I can get away with some, like, thermal control panels. That might actually help us on the re-entry. Let's just put some radiators on it. It's kind of cheating, but... Well, since you're using... this is worth talking about. Since we're using... methane, right? It's a methalox engine, which is suddenly all the rage by the sound of things.
It's what all the cool kids use.
It's what all the cool kids use these days, yeah. You're still going to be doing deep cryogenics on this because they want to do their whole densified propellant stuff, right? Yeah? No? Maybe?
Yeah.
Of course they do.
I'm trying to remember. So he was saying that it's going to be once again, I've got the information in front of me. How did you like that fuel tank, by the way?
That fuel tank that he showed?
Yeah.
I am amazed that they can actually make a fuel tank that works through that temperature range and is entirely carbon fiber without a lining.
Yeah.
And I will point out that one of the things that has come up with the recent SpaceX fueling anomaly was that SpaceX have supposedly moved some of their COPV manufacturing in-house. And many people are pointing at that, and that is very similar if you think about it. It's a tank that's got carbon fiber laid over it. I don't know. I'm like, I mean, it's an awesome fuel tank if they can make it work. But then again, didn't they have an awesome fuel tank for the X-37 or whatever it was?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the reason they canned the X-37 program, was that they couldn't get the fuel tank to work.
Yeah, because you had to get something like 96% of the launch mass in fuel. And that included the fuel tank. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at there's one slide where he talks about the propellant plant. I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
right. So this is
the
this
fuel
is on
right at the
Mars,
very beginning,
right?
didn't he? That was
Yeah,
like
I mean,
the
it's
first thing-
methalox, right? Because that's what you can produce on Mars with ease. I don't know what that sound was. Methalox has many attractive properties, right? The idea being, oh man, I've put it into an elliptical orbit. You know what? I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to switch to this thing, and I'm going to put it in a circular orbit that I would have put it in had I not been trying to land that thing futilely.
So deep cryomethalox.
Yes.
It allows for a large vehicle. Cost of the propellant is low. The reusability is high. It can be produced on Mars, which is a bonus, and it's okay to transfer, but
It's okay. Better than hydrogen.
Yeah, better than kerosene and better than hydrogen and oxygen to transfer, because you have to keep those incredibly cold and incredibly pressurized.
Well, hydrogen. Yeah, the thing is, I'm not quite getting this because they said that they want to. They think that hydrogen's not the greatest choice because they have to keep it really cold. But then they're like, we're going to do this with methane and make it that cold. Which the difference is the difference really that big? I mean, what is the freezing point of methane?
I don't know.
This is the time for you to go and Google
okay, right.
that.
Sorry, I'm your Googler. That's right. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
I'm just, or whatever, if you want to use Spotlight search on Apple, then you're welcome to.
Yeah.
I may be biased on that front.
Biased. I don't have the ability to search Apple in front of me. So melting point 182, so minus 182 Celsius.
Oh, so melting point of methane is minus 182?
Yeah.
So that's about 80 degrees warmer. 80 degree. Oh wow! Wait a second. I've chosen a really bad launch attitude on this thing. Sorry. Definitely, the drink is kicking in here. Excuse me while I power slide this thing into orbit. I think I can do it.
Once again, I'm just going to add this to the note.
Ken Block should drive the spacecraft if they begin the gravity turn a little too early.
Consider the power slide maneuver if all else fails.
Well, the Atlas V 411 manages it, right?
Atlas V 411, what?
You know how Atlas V configurations are labeled, right?
Sorry, you garbled up there for a second there.
Atlas V.
Yep.
Right. So the configurations are numerical configurations. So 411 is the launch configuration that was used for OSIRIS-REx. So 4 represents the 4-meter fairing.
Okay, I see what you're
1 is the number of solid rocket boosters, and 1 is the number of engines on the second stage. Mm-hmm. So while they've advertised a 2-engine second stage, they've never flown it. But point is, 1 engine on that one booster, so it has to slide sideways off the pad because of the asymmetric thrust.
Oh, okay.
So as I was saying, it's a rocket-propelled power slide to get into space.
I saw the OSIRIS-REx launch.
Yeah, I know. I had the opportunity to go, and I completely dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And then actually I realized I was needed to be at the office anyway, so I was like, eh.
Yeah, you guys had some work to do.
Yeah, we had that whole phone
thing.
launch thing.
Yeah.
That happens.
I had never actually seen a rocket launch. I tried to go and see the space shuttle launch. I was there for the second to last launch of the space shuttle, and unfortunately, I don't know if you remember, they had a problem with their fuel tank and it pushed back.
Oh, and you had to go home early.
So I had given myself about a week of launch delays and launch windows, and still it ended up the delays were about a month, and so I missed it. And I was really sad. And then the next shuttle launched no problem, within the launch window. And then I had never gotten a chance to see a rocket launch. So even though I've been reporting on space news for 17 years now, I had never actually seen a rocket launch. And so a bunch of the people from the OSIRIS-REx mission invited me to come and join them and watch the launch and hang out with them. And so I'm like, okay, this time I've got to make it happen. And so I, booked the hotels and organized the trip and made it. And we had perfect weather, and it was an amazing launch. So I'm really glad I did it.
And it did the whole power slide off the launch pad.
I didn't notice that.
Well, yeah, if you look at it from the right angle, it goes sideways because it has it has more thrust, way more thrust on one side. But actually, every single configuration of the Delta V has asymmetric thrust, so it always goes sideways off the launch pad somehow.
Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah, because the Delta V, of course, uses the RD-180 engine. Mm-hmm. And they never expected that they were going to need all these solid rocket boosters around the outside, so they just thought they'd have like a main engine, and that would be them. So no, they have big fuel lines running down the side, and that kind of limits where they can place their engines. Anyway, that's me I'm kind of oversimplifying things, so let's Okay, I'm coming in really fast here. I'm going to come in for a really hard and fast rendezvous here. just watch this. Oh,
But
yeah?
safe, right?
Ish. So actually,
Safe-ish.
I need to do this. I now need to... Oh, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. I think I need to do this. I need to go faster! I'm going 500 meters per second relative to the target, and this is the way I need to go. Oh, wait, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. Okay, screw this. I'm just really doing this wrong. I'm just killing off my velocity relative to the target, and then we will just rendezvous with extreme aggressive speed.
Have you tried like maybe puncturing your astronaut glove, your Kerbonaut glove, and then seeing if that'll give you some extra thrust?
I figured it out, and it's about the same as a mouse fart. Having done the math
Yeah.
on these things.
All right.
I do tend to do math when these things come up because I get a lot of dumb suggestions from the awesome people in chat who are practically ignoring. These guys in chat have been fantastic, and I usually read what's going on, and Silent Searchlight is actually doing a fantastic job as moderator in this case. Okay, so somehow
Do you want me to bring more of their comments into the conversation?
No, you can if you like. I don't know if they're saying, I'm just trying to concentrate on like 4 things at once.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so I'm going to close in towards the target faster. I'm just going to go for it since I have more than enough delta V. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to brute force this encounter. Yeah, there we go. 100. Yeah, this will be fine. Okay. So this is not the way they do rendezvous in the ISS. But we have the Delta V, and we're going to do this.
So it's good. So
Ken Doka 15 says he feels neglected.
Yeah, I know. Whiskey Weasel noted that the book stated that it was stupid and didn't do it. We were talking about The Martian there.
Oh, The Martian, yes.
Yeah, yeah, and that actually enraged me when I saw that too.
I love the movie regardless.
I love the movie too.
Right, it's okay to love movies that make, take liberties for the sake of stories, whatever.
Yeah.
Also, I like the fact that because the movie was a success, I know a whole bunch of, young 11-year-olds who are now reading the book because it's fun.
Everyone I've given that book to has devoured it.
My daughter is reading it again right now. She loves the movie. Now she's reading it, and she's not the greatest space nerd, but she really likes that book. Yeah.
Yeah. They endure it.
Yeah, but it was actually the first time I saw a book was her friend. Her 11-year-old friend was reading it. So yeah, these preteen girls and their boy bands and sci-fi novels.
So are you going to be able to just cut this video up and show the whole mission in sort of a smaller...
I don't think I'm going to do this. We're just going to have us talking. It's going to be completely uncut.
No, but you're to demonstrate the Kerbal Space Program version of the interplanetary transit system.
Well, I think if I was going to do that, I would spend a lot more time and I would get the right mods, basically.
Okay.
So part of the challenge is trying to do it live while talking with someone and drinking beer. Which, of course, leads to many interesting situations where things don't quite work the way you expect.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was thinking you could, supercut it after the fact to try and, actually show all the pieces in
I welcome the genius that could edit my video into something sane. That is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So we're now approaching at about 80 meters per second. We're being, super aggressive. Yes, Dr. Trotter said, yes, he's asking whether preteen girls put their hands on their hip like that. And I say, yes, they do put their hands on their hip like that, Daddy.
How old is your daughter?
11.
Right. My son, my daughter is 14. My son is 12. So we're a little ahead of you.
Yeah, but not by much.
No, you got a very interesting phase coming up.
Coming up, I think we're right in the middle of it. I think I know what you're talking about. We're right in the middle of it.
Okay, all right, yeah.
No, they diet, whatever.
Well, it's just a part where they lose their minds. And
no, they're already there.
Okay, and you got to wait a couple of years for them to come out the other side of it. So.
No, yeah, never mind. So
Um,
yeah, the other SpaceX thing that we haven't really talked about is the exploding rocket thing, which has had, obviously had a lot of attention. And we did have an update from SpaceX just last week, right?
Yeah, so once again, while I was out at the OSIRIS-REx launch, they took us on a tour bus out to the rocket, and we got to go past the launch, I guess the disaster site for the SpaceX, and it was like a mangled, charred piece of wreckage. Like just the steel was bent over. Clearly, it had gotten very hot. I talked to a couple of people who were on at the Kennedy Space Center when this happened, and they absolutely heard it happen. It was an explosion. It shook the windows. Everybody panicked when this explosion went off until they figured out what was going on. It was a pretty exciting time there.
But
Pretty
you were
scary.
basically rocket rubbernecking. Is that what you were saying?
Well,
Is that
so
what we call that?
Yeah, so well the trick was that where we had to go to actually see the Atlas V, they took us on this sort of longer path. We had to go around
Let me just make this clear, right? You were being taken to see the Atlas V
Yes.
by United Launch Alliance, and they just like, well, we just have to take you on
We
this
have
little
to,
diversion.
there is no kidding. And the hilarious thing, we weren't allowed to take any pictures when we were on the Air Force land.
Oh
But
yeah, I was at Vandenberg, and they're like
yeah, no
freak out about
cameras.
that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
there's like signs and you're not allowed to take any pictures. But as we were going along past the SpaceX facility, yeah, we're like, can we take some pictures? And like, no one told you couldn't. So, but it wasn't it wasn't the ULA people saying, well, we couldn't do it. I don't think there was any reason. It was just you had to go past that
There's a
to
lot
get
of
to the
conspiracy
Atlas V.
theories I'm saying floating around this,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, you know, this is actually way more convincing than the exploding the UFO thing. Way
Right.
more likely.
Right.
Oh,
So,
I'm just ULA are a fine, upstanding organization that flies great rockets
yeah, no, that
that
never
cost a
occurred to
lot.
me, and I haven't heard the conspiracy theory. And when I was there, it didn't feel like we were being paraded in front of the SpaceX place. No,
I see. This thing is spinning around like something utterly crazy here. It is wobbling a whole lot. Okay, you guys, this thing is.
commence penetrative refueling, says
Yes,
Sunoichi
that's
Shige.
the yes, because this, instead of having a docking port, we have something called the claw,
Yeah.
which essentially works the same way as a docking port, but is has a claw instead. Okay, I need to actually move towards the target. That's what I'm gonna do.
It looks
I'm gonna
pretty
run out of
gruesome.
monopropellant at this rate. This thing has some serious oscillation issues. In fact, I'm moving away from the target. That's my trick. I'm gonna just let it get in a little closer, and then I'll fire the engines again. Yeah, the rotation engines seem to actually cause it to want to. There we go. Now we're moving towards the target. Okay, so now I can keep this thing on course. And we need to target the main tank thing. So we're 200 meters out, and I wonder if I can target that thing. I don't actually know what way is what.
So, do you run any mods, or do you run this
Oh, this
vanilla?
is full of mods. This is like modded out up to heck.
Okay.
Look at, I was going to say, look at that beautiful planet. There you go. That is not a stock planet by any means. Also, I'm going to do this whole docking at night, so it's going to look terrible. This is actually, this claw originally came as part of the expansion that added the asteroid redirect mission. So the KSP developers worked with NASA to add that
Yeah.
as a thing.
Ken Doka 15 says, "I'm loving this two-person stream. Would love to see one again." So
Okay.
I'm glad this works and is not a terrible
Yeah, because I
idea.
mean, I guess we get to talk space nerdy things. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think, now wait a second, I think this is pointed backwards. So if I do a rotation like this, yes, then my translation upwards, because I'm really aiming for this tank. That's what I'm doing here. Yeah, I think it's actually better because it's nice to have someone to actually talk and that
So you don't
actually.
feel like you're a crazy person.
So I don't, yeah, because I'm usually having to talk to people that are, trying to talk to me at the same time,
Yep.
and they feel that repeating the same thing repeatedly is the best way to do things. Anyway, yeah, sorry, talking about explosions, because
Yep.
we were back, and SpaceX did publish
Yep.
an update, and they said that they have been they've been restarting production in the departments where the teams have been exonerated.
Yeah.
And I originally kind of took them to say, oh well, SpaceX has I basically said they're all fine, but no, what they've really said is, oh, some of their stuff may not be fine.
Well, the official explanation, right, at this point is let's see. At this stage of the investigation, preliminary review of the data and debris suggests that a large breach in the cryogenic helium system of the second stage liquid oxygen tank took place.
Right. So basically, some helium vessel fractured, split,
Yeah.
and the released helium overpressured the liquid oxygen tank, which ruptured, and then somehow there was fuel and oxygen mixing. I understand that, and there was an ignition source somewhere. That's still not clear how that actually happened. But
Yeah.
the real critical thing is a helium tank ruptured.
Yeah.
And I am in the dark, and I'm really not seeing. I'm having a seriously hard time finding out what I'm trying to dock with here. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go downwards, down.
If you just wait 45 minutes or so, you'll move into the light, won't you?
Yeah, come into the light. Okay, this might not work so well. Okay,
Yeah.
I might have to move into a parking situation and come back.
But
Anyway, yeah. So.
But this
Now,
is a
let's be
pretty,
clear.
I mean, this is a fairly standard process. I mean, this, using helium to pressurize the outside of the tank, this is not a new
This is not a new
system or
thing. They've been
methodology.
doing this, and
This is all off the shelf, right?
well, yes. I mean, so this is what happened in their previous failure, that a helium tank burst and then the oxygen tank ruptured. But what in that case precipitated that failure in the first time round was supposedly a strut failure, which led to the tank detaching and flying forwards, hitting the bulkhead, and by that point, of course, if the hose had detached, the whole thing was, not long for this world.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, it was sitting on a launch pad, fueling, and they have fueled rockets quite a lot. So the real mystery is still why, what happened to actually trigger an explosion. And I have heard one interesting theory, which basically suggested that what really happened, or what was happening, was that they were attempting a new, faster fuel cycle. I mean, have you heard this?
No.
They were attempting basically a new, faster fuel cycle, and there was some vibration which hit some resonance, which caused the fuel tank to, vibrations to amplify, and then something broke.
Well, I know that the owners of the Israeli satellite that got exploded atop the rocket are looking to be compensated because I guess it's not covered by their launch insurance, right?
I thought it was covered by like marine cargo insurance.
I talked to one of the people from the Israeli space program, and he was saying that it's a pretty devastating failure, and they're kind of out of luck right now. So,
well, I mean, because their company was basically looking to be sold, and that was one of their big assets. They were running out of money essentially.
yeah,
And so having your major asset blow up kind of does a lot to the value of the company.
even with insurance,
Even with insurance and all that,
yeah.
right? Because it means that you could have indeterminate value. You can realize value from the thing which may be greater than the actual value of the asset on the rocket, right?
Yeah.
So the value of the deployed asset could be greater. Anyway, I can't see crap.
How long till daytime?
I don't know, but I think we're almost there.
Can you
That looks like pretty.
retrofit some lights onto the
Not
rocket?
at this point.
Yeah.
We would have to land it, and we all saw how that went.
Just revert to the pad.
No, because then we'd have to launch it again, and I've created this encounter. Yeah. Come on, get in there! Ah, damn it! Damn it! I hit it and it didn't connect. That is so unfair. Curse you all to hell! Okay. Like, we've hit it and the reaction control system on the other target is now going off. It's like, no, I'm hitting it. Anyway, so the Israeli companies still, like, the insurance situation is still very up in the air. I mean, look, okay, it's an insurance company. Insurance company's absolutely going to try and get out of it, right? We understand that. That's their business, right? That's how insurance works. If you can't get out of your thing, then you're not in the insurance business properly.
Now, SpaceX has said they're going to return to flight within 3 months, sometime in November, they're thinking. So they're and they've confirmed it again that they're going to try and be back to flight in November, which, you know, when I was talking to people at Kennedy Space Center, they were like, "Oh no, it's, you know, we're looking at 6 months." So we'll see if that.
I mean, they're going to have a pad ready. I mean, they've got the pad at Vandenberg. It was ready. They originally had a launch scheduled for September 20th or September 19th.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's been put on hold because that was, you know, going to be using the same hardware. But, man, this thing. I just got to wait for daylight.
It looks like you lost your stream.
I lost my stream?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's back.
Oh, no, it's back. I think it's just people having trouble with connections and stuff like that. I'm not seeing any dropped frames at all.
Okay. Yeah. The sort of I was running Wirecast. I was trying to run some games like Kerbal and stuff, and I was dropping a ton of frames. And
that would be that Canadian internet.
Yeah, of course. But then I switched to OBS, and it actually ran pretty smoothly. But my sort of idea would be to use Steam sharing, run the game on another machine, but then Steam share it through to the computer that I'm going to be broadcasting.
Oh my god, that sounds scary.
Well, you know, not that scary. It's no scary.
I mean, it sounds as scary as in probably great deal of chances for bugs.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come in and just try to target this thing. I wish I could target another part of the vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm going to... Oh, crap.
I don't know what's going on. What's happening?
I overshot again. I was moving towards the target and then it did something weird. Something glitched. There was been a glitch in the Matrix. We also have sunrise. There, beautiful sunrise.
There you go. That's what you needed. You just need the sun to come up so you can...
No, it failed me. Something failed. So much
okay,
for
well, you know what?
rendezvous.
I'm going to take note. I'm going to add another note, which
Right.
is don't use the claw.
Don't use the claw. Yes.
Don't use the claw. The claw method, not successful.
Not successful, and also, oh my god. You know, also you might want to tell them to make sure that the reaction control thrusters are put in a sensible location.
As opposed to wherever they would fit.
As opposed to where I randomly fit them, yeah. Because you really want to have a balanced spacecraft. I've totally managed to fly things with badly placed RCS, but as you can tell, it is not fun. Especially at night. Right? Night is like the worst time to be flying a spacecraft, which is terribly imbalanced.
If you could get this back down to the vehicle assembly building, how would you change it?
I would go in and actually look to see where I was putting the reaction control thrusters.
Now, keep in mind, you have had an entire bottle of a 10% beer at this point.
Yes,
So,
I'm really not in a good situation. Having said that, I have landed the Apollo 11 lunar module, accurately simulated,
yeah.
after a 6-pack of beer.
Hmm.
And you know, I'm sure Neil Armstrong could do that, but
Yeah.
NASA wouldn't let him,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well,
I mean, they let him have the communion wine on the moon and stuff
yeah.
like, but you know.
Yeah, what he took to the moon though was his own business. So, they don't know. They
Well, that
don't
was Buzz that took that.
know what they smuggled on board.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Trying to keep this thing moving towards the target at a reasonable pace.
I love the view right now. It's beautiful with the planet underneath and the
Yeah.
sunrise.
We
and
can
yeah. This
here.
is
Let
good.
me adjust the camera so it looks more like we're in orbit. Yeah, this beer's getting warm. I'm gonna have to finish it. Actually, I'm gonna have to finish this stream. I don't know if I'm gonna get this thing docking. I think what will happen with the Kerbal version of the colonial transporter is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna find the right parts and build things and try to make it right. And I think I might have to edit parts because the Raptor is just insane, right? It is something like 60% as powerful as a as an F1. Something ridiculous. So
Yeah.
the final interplanetary transport, vehicle has something like 3.5 times the thrust of a Saturn V.
Yeah.
And in terms of launch mass, it's probably about twice that.
It is a ridiculous rocket. Like
It is just the BFR.
Yeah,
And to
yeah.
be fair, like Elon Musk is not the only person in recent weeks that has talked about a ridiculously big rocket.
Absolutely. There's the New Glenn coming out.
The New Glenn.
Yeah, coming out of Blue Origin.
We had the New Shepard, which was a Methalox engine, right?
Yeah.
And it was obviously New Shepard because it was named after Alan Shepard,
Yeah.
who first suborbital flight.
Yeah.
And so New Glenn, presumably, John Glenn, first orbital.
And the rumored New Armstrong.
New Armstrong, yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably skipped New Grissom because that's the name of their submarine project.
But it is really an amazing level of one-upmanship because 2 weeks ago we looked at the size comparison of the New Glenn compared to the Saturn V, the Falcon Heavy. It's just a monster rocket, and now this one is just so much bigger. It's crazy, and so who knows with the New Armstrong how big that's going to be.
Right. What? Yeah.
So it's a.
I mean, and to be fair, and I'll be clear, Jeff, he has way more money than Elon. He has a better hairstyle as well. Like he really does the efficient hairstyle.
Yeah, that's right. He knows the right way to manage your hair. Absolutely.
Yes.
But it is amazing to sort of see because even if Elon Musk is wrong and this isn't going to work, Jeff Bezos thinks it's going to work and is building a similar capacity, similar fleet of rockets. So not only are we going to have one eccentric billionaire building, this amazing rocket system, we're going to have two. There's going to be competition between the two of them.
Competition, right, sure, but competition might imply that there's a market. There is not a market for this level of launch capacity.
$200,000 a pop to fly to Mars, just be plopped down
Sure,
on the surface.
right, but there's nothing. What else is there in between? There's no commercial requirements for launching, 75 tons into low Earth orbit, right? And that's just the Falcon Heavy. People are like asking why, what use does the Falcon Heavy offer? And I think Bigelow have a few ideas. They would like to fly their stations or whatever, but
Yeah.
who else has the need for that capacity other than NASA?
Well, you don't know, right? I mean, if they decrease the launch cost by a factor of 10 or a factor of 100, it just completely changes the whole market for what is worthwhile to launch into space and how much of it. I mean, you look at the asteroid mining. You could launch asteroid mining facilities. You could launch, colonization stuff. When you think about the resources and capability of the solar system, the vast value is out there in space with those asteroids, with those other worlds, and we have to learn how to get good at reaching out and landing on them. So I think that if Musk and Bezos can bring the cost down by a factor of 10 or a factor of 100, we will figure out reasons why to send missions up there and use it. I think, this is the same. We've seen this tune played out many times before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a skeptic of all these business plans, I guess is what I'm saying. I think one of the interesting things about SpaceX is that they did start out with the Falcon 1 being their original plan, and turns out nobody needed it. Oh, and we bumped off the outside, so I think the claw is just not armed. Let's try going again. Get in there. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. No. Hold still. Okay, I have missed it once again.
But you got close.
I got close. No, I've totally got close.
Yeah.
I'm close, but no cigar-shaped rocket.
Yeah, and if you had time to just sit there and
well, if I'd actually
this,
put docking ports on it, that would have helped a great deal.
Yeah.
Actually planning this thing to be reasonable. I'm going to try and hit it in the butt. If this doesn't work, then I just have to call it a night. I have to call it a night regardless.
Well, but let's look at our big checklist, right? Let's see. A reusable, landable booster rocket with 42 engines on it.
Sort of landable. We did land it in the ocean in many pieces.
Check. I'm calling that a check.
Okay.
I think, if you had less beer, you might have been able to, and you sort of changed the point that you separated and had less velocity.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of braking panels on the top. I think you would have probably landed it. I'm gonna put that in the win column. All right.
Okay.
A top capsule capable of carrying 100 Kerbals.
We have 100 capability. In fact, 101, in fact.
Perfect.
We have room 101.
Capable of entering the Duna atmosphere and landing on the surface so that the Dunans so that the Kerbals survive.
Yep, we have that.
Yeah. So I think that part worked. A refueling rocket capable of mating, theoretically getting close to that crew component. I think we got that too.
I think so, but I think I'm messing this up again.
You know what? It's fine.
Here we go, and it bounced off again. This is what happens when you have to try to dock with the claw. You need look. See, they're mating in space. I can even deploy the landing gear, and they'll push it away.
It happens.
Yes, we're swimming in space. Look. They did their mission.
Yeah.
They did it. We totally got together, and I could transfer the fuel, and they could go to Duna.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do the interplanetary transfer because I've done interplanetary transfer many times.
Yeah, that's easy.
So the only thing we haven't really tested is the hyperbolic approach to Mars. So coming in at hyperbolic velocities. But we're pretty close.
When you did your test, you were coming.
We were only at orbital velocity,
okay,
so we were 40% below the kind of hyperbolic velocity we'd expect. But I think what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll try and build this with more realistic parts, and that's how it's going to happen.
I can imagine this is going to keep you bogged down, a whole new rabbit hole for you to solve.
I have many other things that I need to see to in the meantime. But yes, many things will crash and burn and explode. And yes, I'm going to have to finish this beer at some point. Yeah, I'm going to have to wrap it up here because I have work in the morning and, wife upstairs and all these things.
Yeah.
So yes, thanks very much for being here. I kind of enjoyed talking about things. You should have brought a beer, but whatever.
Next time, invite me again, and I will make sure that I am ready to go, and I will get as silly as you.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody else that's dropped by. I'm sorry we didn't really listen to anything you said, although McThulu is making his usual jokes about me hitting things in the butt. So many rabbits, so many holes, so many ways to interpret that comment. But yeah, thanks for everyone. Thanks for Silent Searchlight for being the moderator of all that, because he is actually pretty awesome. And yeah, thanks for everyone for showing up. And I'm going to say fly safe. And you can say...
What do I say?
What do you say?
I don't say... Man, I don't have a tagline.
You don't have a tagline?
No, I don't.
You gotta get yourself one. They're like the coolest thing.
I will propose that to the fans and see if anyone has a tagline that I can use. I always say I'll see you all next week.
See you all next week, but you may not be here next week.
No, that if it was the Weekly Space Hangout or Astronomy Cast, that's what I would say.
I used to do the Weekly Space thing on, but yeah, never mind. We're doing this.
All right, we'll see you later, Scott.
See ya. Bye.